When you can't see progress, remember, God is still moving pieces you can't see. There are mornings when the world feels quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet, but the heavy kind. The kind that comes after praying for something for so long that your heart begins to whisper, maybe God has forgotten me. You look around, and everything seems still. No signs of movement, no doors opening, no answers coming. But this morning, before you let worry write the story of your day, remember this truth. God is still working behind the scenes. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him." That verse doesn't say some things. It doesn't say only the easy things or only the moments that make sense. It says all things. That means even in confusion, even in waiting, even in silence, God is at work. The unseen hand of heaven is arranging what your eyes cannot yet perceive. Sometimes God works quietly because He's protecting the process. Think of seeds buried in the soil. They grow in darkness first. If you dig them up too soon, you interrupt what's meant to unfold in secret. Maybe your life feels like that, like a seed underground. You've been praying, believing, holding on, and yet nothing seems to sprout. But deep beneath what you can see, roots are forming, strength is building. The foundation of your answered prayer is being made ready. God isn't in a hurry because He's eternal. What He starts, He finishes. What He promises, He performs. But His timing rarely looks like ours. We want instant, He builds eternal. We crave signs, He grows faith. We chase clarity, He invites trust. When you can't see what He's doing, that doesn't mean He's doing nothing. It often means He's doing His best work. Work that requires your patience, your surrender, your willingness to wait, while He weaves the invisible threads of His plan. Think of Joseph, thrown into a pit by his brothers, sold into slavery, imprisoned unjustly. For years, it looked like God had forgotten him. But all along, the Lord was positioning him, using betrayal, hardship, and delay to prepare him for destiny. When the famine came, Joseph was right where he needed to be, to save countless lives, including the very family who once abandoned him. What looked like disaster was divine direction. God's plan was never absent, only hidden. There are times you'll pray for a door to open, but instead, God will build a hallway you didn't know existed. You'll see people walk out of your life and think you've lost something precious, when in truth, God was making room for something better, aligned with His purpose. You'll watch plans crumble and think it's failure, but God is clearing the path of everything that would have limited you later. The silence of heaven does not mean abandonment. It means construction. Every masterpiece requires a backstage. Every story has scenes the audience never sees. You only see the performance, not the rehearsals, not the rewrites, not the hours of unseen shaping. God is the author and the director. You're living in the middle of His script, not at the end. And just because you can't hear the next line yet, doesn't mean He's stopped speaking. It means He's setting the stage. Maybe lately you've been asking, God, why are things taking so long? But what if heaven's delay is your protection? What if the thing you're waiting for isn't ready for you yet? Or you're not ready for it? God doesn't just prepare blessings for His children. He prepares His children for the blessing. And that preparation often feels uncomfortable. It tests our faith. It refines our motives. It stretches our trust. But it also ensures that when the door finally opens, we'll walk through it with gratitude, not pride. Behind every divine delay, there's a purpose that will one day make you say, "Now I see." That's what happens when the fog lifts. You'll look back and realize that every unanswered prayer had a reason. Every pause was purposeful. Every detour was necessary. God never wastes anything, not even the waiting. Think about a tapestry. From the front, it's beautiful. From the back, it's a mess of knots and tangled threads. That's what life looks like from our perspective sometimes. Chaotic, confusing, senseless. But from God's view, it's art. He's weaving beauty through threads of pain and joy, victory and struggle, beginning to end. The pattern doesn't make sense up close, but step back, and it reveals the story of redemption, love, and divine orchestration. When you start your morning today, don't let impatience steal your peace. Instead, breathe deeply and remind yourself, God is working for my good, even when I don't feel it, even when I can't trace it, even when everything seems still. The same God who kept his promises to Abraham, who raised Lazarus after 4 days, who turned Joseph's prison into a palace, is still at work today. In your story, he doesn't sleep. He doesn't forget. He doesn't run out of miracles. The God who hung the stars has your name written on his hands. Every detail of your life, the joy and the sorrow, the triumph and the tears, is part of his masterpiece. You are not waiting for something to happen. You are waiting with someone who never stops moving. Maybe this morning, the waiting has worn you down. You've prayed until your voice cracked, hoped until your heart grew tired. You might be tempted to say, "What's the use?" But friend, this is where faith is born. Not in answers, but in trust. Faith grows in the dark when you choose to believe that God is good, even when life isn't. That's when your roots go deeper. That's when heaven leans in close and whispers, "Keep going. I'm still here." You may not see the full picture, but you can see his fingerprints. That unexpected encouragement from a friend, that timing that just happened to line up, that strength you felt when you thought you had none left. Those are glimpses of God at work. Quiet, subtle, holy. The Spirit of God doesn't always announce himself with thunder. Sometimes he shows up as a whisper, a nudge, a small reminder that he's not done yet. There's a quiet confidence that comes from knowing that your story isn't finished. It allows you to face the unknown with peace instead of panic. It teaches you to rest while you wait, because your faith is no longer tied to visible progress. It's anchored in invisible purpose. When the Israelites stood at the Red Sea, with Pharaoh's army behind them and the water in front, it looked hopeless, but even then, God was working. He was positioning them for deliverance so miraculous that no one could deny his power. Sometimes, God allows impossible situations, not to punish us, but to prove himself faithful through them. The same is true for you. That closed door, that unanswered prayer, that delay, they are not signs of defeat. They are invitations to deeper faith. When God seems silent, he's often speaking through circumstance. When he seems still, he's often moving mountains behind the curtain. Imagine if every moment of your life were visible, every prayer being answered in real time, every problem immediately resolved. Faith wouldn't be necessary. And without faith, there can be no relationship with God. Waiting isn't punishment. It's partnership. It's where you learn to walk with him, not just watch him. God is not just arranging circumstances, he's shaping you. Because his goal isn't only to get you to the destination, but to make you more like Jesus along the way. Sometimes he'll hold back what you want to give you what you need: character, humility, resilience, compassion. These are the treasures formed in the slow work of God. And when the time comes, when the pieces click into place, when the fog clears, when the prayer is finally answered, you'll realize that the waiting was not wasted. You'll thank him for every "not yet." You'll see that if he had answered earlier, you might have settled for less. You'll see that every delay was love disguised as patience. So today, lift your eyes. Don't measure God's faithfulness by what you can see. Measure it by what you know to be true. He is good. He is faithful. He is working all things, for your good. Even now, let that truth settle into your spirit like a warm light. When doubts whisper, "Nothing's happening," respond, "Everything is happening. I just can't see it yet." When fear says, "You're stuck," declare, "God's still moving." When impatience rises, breathe and remember, heaven's schedule is never late. Your job today is not to control the timing. It's to trust the one who does. So walk forward with peace. Keep praying, not because you see change, but because you believe in the one who changes everything. Keep showing up. Keep loving. Keep believing. The same God who turned crucifixion into resurrection is turning your waiting into glory. There will come a day, maybe soon, maybe farther down the road, when you'll look back and smile. You'll realize that while you were worrying, God was weaving. While you were doubting, He was directing. While you were crying, He was collecting every tear and using it to water the garden of your purpose. That's the beauty of faith. You don't need to understand everything to trust the one who does. You don't need to see His plan to know He has one. You just need to rest in the assurance that your life is in the hands of a God who never stops working for your good. So this morning, whisper it softly like a prayer. God, I may not see it, but I trust you. I may not feel it, but I believe you're still working. I release my timeline and choose your timing. I rest in the truth that you are good and that all things, even this, will work together for my good. Pause and let that sink in. Let peace replace pressure. Let trust replace tension. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. And when you step into today, into conversations, into traffic, into decisions, into moments both small and large, carry this confidence. The God who began a good work in you is faithful to complete it. He hasn't stopped. He won't stop. Behind the scenes, beyond what you can measure or imagine, He's still moving every detail toward redemption. So breathe, smile, lift your head. God is still working behind the scenes. And soon, you'll see why He took His time. Write it in faith today. God is working for my good. Because even when the stage looks empty, the director is still setting the scene for something beautiful.